Hi, this is Dr. Cynthia Krenzel from Central College in Pella, Iowa, and this is the first in a series of videos helping you to prepare for the Iowa All State Band and Orchestra Auditions 2014 on the B-flat clarinet. We'll start in this video on the F major etude, page 6. Okay, so probably the first question you asked yourself was, at what tempo should I play this? I'm going to recommend a wide range of tempos, and I think that you should choose a tempo where you can play everything very cleanly and accurately with the best tone possible, although I wouldn't venture below 80 for sure. 80, quarter note equals 80, and I wouldn't go higher than 110, quarter note equals 110. So it's a pretty wide range. It's andante, so it shouldn't be too fast. You don't want to play an allegro. Maestoso means sort of a broad, majestic descriptor of this andante. So keeping that in mind, find also a tempo where you play it accurately with a good tone, good intonation, and musicality. So, that's going to be slightly different for each person. Probably you'll be in good shape if you're around 88 to 92, but there's some room for variation there. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. The first three notes are pickup notes to the F on the downbeat of the very first full measure. So you need to play them a little bit softer. It is marked piano, and you can crescendo a bit to the F in the second measure. I like to think of it less as a crescendo and more as speeding up the direction of the air toward the F. Don't play them as if they're all equal. This is how, if I play them all at the same dynamic level and the same use of air, it would sound like this. But those first three notes just are not as important as that F. So lead into the F. In the second full measure, you sit on a half note on an A, a problematic note for the clarinet. So to make this sound better, to get a better tone on this A, most people will use, of course, you press the A key, and then you use some resonance fingerings. Resonance fingerings will help you improve the tone of that throat tone note. They are also applied to open G and this B flat. My sort of recipe for resonance fingering would be the A key, the left hand, 2 fingers, and the third finger in the right hand, and the C key. Now that's not to say you should use that combination. That just works for my instrument and for me. Gives me a better tone without lowering the intonation too much. Find a pattern or an organization, use of fingerings. Find a fingering that works for you, to make your tone sound better, and also but not to make you too flat. You'll hear the difference. I'll just put down a bunch of different fingers here. When I put down all these fingers and the C key and the 2 left, you could probably hear the difference in pitch from the open A. It's a significant change in intonation. So if you are already low on that A, I would really consider whether you want to use a resonance fingering or not. If you can use a resonance fingering and stay in tune, not go too flat, then use it. But if you're already flat and this makes you even more so, I would say go for, I would say choose intonation over tone. So that's my opinion. You should talk to your lesson instructor as well. And always have a tuner out. Intonation is really key, especially when you sit on a note for 2 full beats like that. But if you're sharp on the A is sort of a difficult note. That register of the clarinet is difficult. It's very easy to be out of tune. If you tend to be sharp, then you're really in luck here, because resonance fingerings will give you a better tone, because you're lengthening the tube of the instrument essentially by putting fingers down, and it will also lower your pitch. Okay, so our resonance fingerings on the A, if you can manage it intonation-wise. And then we have a similar figure, 3-note figure leading to the downbeat of the next measure, which is an E. So we're talking about the third measure there. So you'll find a lot of these 3-note figures leading to the downbeat of the next measure, and I think you should really play those again as pickup notes leading to that downbeat of the next measure. After the C half note tied into an 8th note, that's where I breathe. So starting in the middle of that first phrase on the B flat. Okay, so let's see, let's go on from there. We've got the triplet figure coming up. This is the one that probably, if there's anything in the piece that's giving you trouble, this would be it. I recommend, grab my metronome here, that you have your metronome handy, and that you practice this figure on the 16th note. Even if you feel like, oh, I can play this already, it's not hard, no big deal. I highly recommend doing this just for accuracy. Let's see. Go a little faster than that. Let's see, hold on. This is 1 to 50. This will be my 16th note, so that I make sure I have the rhythm figured out. So you really hear the difference between the triplet, the 16th, the triplet, the 16th, and then even 16ths. I would take that and continue going faster and faster. I'm going to skip ahead. I would do this gradually. Just for now, I'm going to skip ahead quickly though. But what I would like you to do would be to go up, say, 10 numbers. So from 150 to 160 to 170, and then eventually you'll be fast and it won't feel so fast then, and it will be accurate. So here we are, a fast 16th pulse. I've worked all the way up. At this point, I'm probably ready to go to the 8th note. That was 230, so let's say, let's go to 120, so we'll go up, this will be a little bit faster pulse, but on the 8th note. And I would continue to work with the metronome on the 8th note until I was at tempo. Once I'm at tempo, then I would consider going to the quarter note pulse, but only then, because there's a lot of room for error. But here we go with the quarter note. The danger of practicing at the quarter note is there, as I said, there's so much room for error. Be careful, make sure you're not doing this. Sounds fun. Sounds really fast and impressive, but the rhythm is wrong. If you slow it down, I'm actually playing, which is all equal notes. They're not all equal. The triplet's faster. So just be, accurate, work at the 16th note. Yeah, and go from there. So this is really probably the trickiest thing in this whole piece, actually. Once you get past that, you have a fermata. I recommend that D fermata is just maybe a dotted quarter note or a half note, not too long. And that you use that to diminuendo and maybe slow down a little bit so that the last 8th note is not actually in time. After this, we have accents. Those accents need to come from the diaphragm, from the stomach muscles that push a little extra push of air. Think about the air you might use to blow like a dandelion or an eyelash off of your hand. Keep control on the embouchure. Don't focus on the tongue. It's not... That's an uncontrolled airstream with a lot of tongue. I'd rather have... more of a push from down here. You have poco a poco, accelerando, and crescendo in this spot also. So it's going to get a little bit faster and louder. So basically this means increase the intensity of this phrase. And then you have two options here. You can, at the forte, dee-dum, be-dum. You can take a little time there if you want to. If you choose to do that, I wouldn't hold the fermata out too long. If you just go through a dee-dum, be-dum, you can hold the fermata a little bit longer. If you do both, it's going to be overkill. So be careful not to make this a little too drawn out and overly dramatic. But again, do a little bit of something there. Either slow down with a small fermata or move through with a longer fermata.